This is Spotlight TV, and I am Christian Lestat. For the people at home, who are we here with tonight?
Hello, Christian. My name is Constance Johnson, and I'm also here with not only my best friend for the past 20 years, but my daughter, Delonra's godmom.
Hi, everyone. I'm Donna Lee Cole.
And we're here once again today to talk about Safe Haven Christian Daycare worker that violently attacked my daughter this week. That I witnessed. Unfortunately, this daycare worker for Safe Haven Christian Daycare is still at large. I have done everything that I possibly can do, from calling the Erie City Police, speaking with lieutenants, talking with the detective Mike Conway that will be heading up this investigation. Mostly I've gotten a bit of a runaround. CYS is involved, and also the regional daycare licensing. But what I really want to impress upon parents is that there's a way to try to safeguard your child from being violently attacked or abused at a daycare center, which is to go to a website, DPW website, that can tell you about some of the infractions, possibly things that concern the licensing board that have to do with daycares. All daycares have to follow a strict criteria, and unfortunately I learned about the DPW website a little too late. I'm here on this tablet, and there's quite a few infractions that date all the way back to 2010 for Safe Haven Christian Daycare. Some of the infractions include things like not having a valid transportation vehicle with registration and insurance, the workers not having their proper Act 33, 34 clearances, which we can talk more about later on. Hand washing materials not available, which was kind of the reason that prompted me to go and get some extra Lysol for the nursery, because when I dropped my daughter off that day, they told me there was no Lysol. So I ran up the street, about a block away, to Family Dollar, bought 4 cans of Lysol, and when I returned, I obviously was shocked to find the Safe Haven Christian Daycare worker violently shaking and rocking my daughter with a blanket over her face, as we have a demonstration here, and I guess I was surprised to be doing nice things. Some more infractions that I really want to point out to some of you folks at home that you can look for are the fact that if you are trying to pick a daycare or a child care provider, everyone has the opportunity to look this up. This is not private, it's public information, and we can talk a little more about that here with Ms. Cole.
Hi, everyone. I'm Donna Lee. I'm Delonra's godmom. There are a lot of things that parents are not aware of that they have a right to do when it comes to their children. When you are choosing a daycare, as Constance discussed, you have a right. They have state regulations that they have to abide by. Some of them being that all of their workers are required to have what are called their Act 33 and Act 34 clearances. These are their Pennsylvania State criminal record check, as well as their child abuse clearances. And in most places, they're also required to have what's called your FBI fingerprints. When you enter a daycare and you're touring it, as a parent, you have the right to ask the director to show you the clearances of every employee who works there. This gives you peace of mind to know that your child is with somebody that does not have a record, that is not a child abuser. Again, that does not necessarily protect your child. Any violations against that daycare are public record. The daycare is not required to tell you when they have open investigations, unless they are what is considered to be extreme. I'm not sure what they consider extreme. In my opinion, this is extreme, though it's not required for them to tell you. You have a right to go to the DPW website. You can call your local CCIS, Child Care Information Services. You can talk to your local Public Department of Welfare, and they can tell you the website you go to. You can enter the name of any daycare that you are looking into, and they will tell you any infraction or violations they have had against state regulations, and they will also tell you of any current open investigation or past investigations done on them. They'll tell you what was corrected, when it was corrected, and if they meet standards.
If I could just interrupt you for a minute here.
Sure.
I love things you're saying, but how about we make sure that we let the people know exactly who you are. Other than Delonra's godmother, This particular issue about childcare, I know I always ask you when I have a question about my kids.
It's something dear to my heart.
It's something dear to your heart. Can you tell us a little bit more about that? What experiences you've had? And
Absolutely. Brief, just synopsis of me. I was born and raised in foster care. Once I became an adult and I started my own life, I felt it was something I needed to do. I needed to give back to my community, to what was given to me.
So you are currently
I am a current licensed
care
Pennsylvania State
parent.
licensed foster mother. I have 5 children. I am also an early education, ECE, early childhood education student. I graduate in December, at which point I will be qualified to be a preschool teacher, a Head Start teacher, or even in any director's position at a daycare. When you came to me, yes, there's absolutely, under state law, under any moral standards, absolutely no reason for an infant to have a blanket over their face. Whether it's partially or not, there's no reason for it.
Okay. Well, also, I wanted to kind of touch base on the legal aspects of this entire situation that I'm really frustrated about. Is the fact that the Safe Haven daycare worker in the nursery, there was the worker who actually attacked my daughter, and there was also another worker in the room who was watching this attack, who did nothing to prevent it, that they are still at work, and they are still being allowed to take care of infants in the nursery. None of the parents were notified. There was definitely an incident report made, if anyone would like to check that out. It's 2012-1220 through Corporal Keith Fries. And it's being, like I said, being picked up and investigated by Detective Mike Conway with the Children's Advocacy Center. The Children's Advocacy Center is over out on West 8th Street, and that is where specific cases of abuse that have to do with minors are all taken to. So,
and I wanted to point out something else as far as Safe Haven. I did have the opportunity to enter Safe Haven and see what it is like within the insides of it. And as Constance said, the worker who witnessed it is still on her job. The worker who actually assaulted my goddaughter, Delonra, is still at work. The one thing that you as parents need to be aware of, when you are touring any daycare, ask for a parent handbook. This parent handbook has any emergency plans and all of the rules, guidelines for their particular daycare. As far as Safe Haven goes, I requested a parent handbook. They did not have any. As well as Constance has requested one on a number of occasions and still has not received one.
yes.
If you do not receive a parent handbook from the daycare you are touring and your child has already begun going there, stay on it. Every day you drop your child off, ask for the parent handbook. There is vital information in that handbook that you need to know concerning not only the facility, but the people who work there and run it as well.
Yes, and as I said prior, the infractions, I mean, I'm going through on this tablet some of the infractions which are dated and anyone can look up. Some of them are minor, like not having hand washing signs or not having a full first aid kit, but a lot of them are they're very major. Having employees without their clearances, not having insurance on the vehicles that you're transporting children in. Here it says that the school age room was over its maximum, and there was not enough workers watching the children. I really regret not knowing how to actually access this prior to Delonra starting this daycare. But I am thankful that I know now and that other parents can get on the DPW website. And if you're thinking about a daycare, like Dawn Lee was saying, you really want to ask for that handbook. You want to press the issue.
Absolutely.
I was told by Colleen, who is the director of Safe Haven Christian Daycare, that they were under construction, and that's why there were no fire exit signs over the doors. There was no fire plans listed on the walls. That's why she didn't have a daycare pamphlet that I could have, and et cetera, et cetera. If you see that a director of a daycare is doing that and seems to be giving you the runaround, don't be too busy. I know a lot of us are busy. I work 2 jobs. I'm a single mother, so a lot of times you give me an excuse and you're like, okay, I'll get it another day. And before you know it, a couple weeks go by. But this was not Delonra's first day at Safe Haven Christian Daycare. So I do believe that this was a repeated behavior. My daughter had been having problems with her eye that Bayside Family Medical said could have been from a consistent covering of her face with a blanket. You can give children infections that way, and that is one of the reasons, other than suffocation, that this is never to happen. So I just really want to reiterate to people to be careful, be mindful, and beware, because a safe haven is not always a safe haven.
And with that, we oftentimes look at people outside of our home. You know, you look at your home and you see that your home is safe, that your child is taken care of. And in today's society, it's necessary. We have to work. We have to provide for our families. You see the fact that a daycare is licensed, that the daycare receives funds from your local child care information services department, and we assume it's safe. There are just a couple of the violations for Safe Haven that I particularly found disturbing, and they're severe. Safe Haven had a violation for their water temperature. State law mandates that water temperature cannot exceed 110 degrees for infants or children. After 110 degrees, they can sustain severe burns. Safe Haven had a violation for theirs being at 117 degrees. Another large violation that parents need to be aware of. State law requires any window above ground floor, second, third, fourth floor, to be modified or adjusted so that it does not open over 6 inches. Safe Haven has had a violation for that. Not only do they have a violation for the windows opening completely, but they've had a violation for children being left completely unattended. Their supply closet with all of their chemicals, bleach, Lysol, bug out, Raid, was left completely accessible to children. When you are leaving these children alone, and they have access to that, it's dangerous. It's more than just, you know, a skinned knee. This could be your child's life. And, you know, there is no reason why any child should have to go through this. Constance and I are here today because, unfortunately, Delonra had to go through it. But if the rest of the parents at home can see and be aware of what their rights and options are, we can prevent this from happening to your kids.
I also want to say, too, that if this does happen, if a parent or a guardian, whoever you are, if you have a minor child and you feel your child's being abused, whether it be at a daycare, a child care provider's home, or a school or anywhere else, there are people out there and numbers that you can call. One of the biggest numbers is the Childline Hotline, which is 1-800-932-0313. And there is also, if this is a licensed facility, they got their license from the Regional Office of Licensing. And that number, they're based out of Pittsburgh, is 1-800-222-2149. Once again, I'm going to say that number for the regional licensing because just like Safe Haven Christian Daycare has a license, that does not mean that they don't have or have had infractions. So that number for the regional office of the daycare licensing is 1-800-222-2149. If anyone suspects abuse of a child, I know a lot of people aren't aware, you can call the Childline Hotline, which that number once again is 1-800-932-0313.
And these calls can be anonymous.
Yes.
If you're not comfortable leaving your name and your information, you can make an anonymous call. It doesn't matter how minor the call appears to other people. Every call, whether it be to the regional office or to the child hotline, has to be tended. It has to be investigated by an investigator, and they will go and they will look into any claims made. And if there are infractions, the daycare, such as Safe Haven, will need to correct them, or they risk losing their license.
And I want to close and say that although I definitely am unhappy that Safe Haven Christian Daycare did not remove these 2 workers, I am very confident that the Erie City Police and Children's Youth Services of Erie County will bring these two women to justice. I do not think that this will be swept under a rug regardless of who is affiliated with or works at Safe Haven Christian Daycare. I do believe that the director of Safe Haven Christian Daycare, Colleen, will be brought to justice along with the two nursery workers that she's allowing to abuse children.
Yes.
All right, that's it.
Listen here, sport. You want a videotape? I'll take your camera. Put that on. Listen here, sport. You want a videotape? I'll take your camera. Put that on. Listen here, sport. You want a videotape? I'll take your camera. Put that on.
I guarantee you that. Christian Lestat here.
Sorry, am I in your way?
Oh.
Go that way. Go that way.
Why do I have to go that way?
Yes, you have to go that way. I'm showing you on camera. You have to go that way.
Why is that?
Start walking or you're going to get locked up.
Is there a law that says I have to go that way?
I'm going to count to 2. I don't care about a camera. Cameras mean nothing to me. I'm going to count to 2.
Okay.
Start walking. 1, 2, keep going. See ya.
Have a good day, sir.
Yep.